Hey guys, we've made some videos previously that we've called honesty tests, where we've shown how trusting and how honest most people in Japan are, and as a result how the security measures here are often a lot more lax than what they might be in other countries, which means that perhaps some criminal thinking type people might see it as an opportunity to commit easy crime in Japan. And I would say don't commit crime in Japan, and the reasons for that are, first of all, because you are a guest. So of course coming to a country as a guest and committing a crime would be a very low thing to do. The second reason is that as a foreigner you're very easy to catch. First of all, because you're easy to identify. The other reason is that if you enter Japan, the government automatically has a record of you being here. So they know who you are, they have your name and address. You touch a fingerprint machine when you come into Japan, so they've got your fingerprints. And the area that you're in will be aware that you're there. So it's too easy. There was a robbery committed in Tokyo recently of a money exchange place by an Australian guy, and they caught him the next day. So they would have just gone to their computer, looked at a list of foreigners, tried to find one that matched the description, about the same size and the same age, found the guy, or probably found a couple of guys, went around and knocked on some doors and got him next day. So the next reason not to commit crime in Japan is that they have very strict rules here as far as, or laws here as far as detention, which means if you are arrested on a crime here, they can hold you in detention or in jail for 23 days without conviction, and you can't do anything about it. And it doesn't matter if you're a foreigner. I mean, we get questions all the time about what if I'm a foreigner. There's nothing your embassy or your consulate can do. When you enter Japan, by entering Japan, you're accepting the Japan laws, and there's nothing anybody can do. So if they arrest you for stealing a candy bar or any crime at all, public drunkenness or any crime at all where you behave badly or break a law, they can put you into detention in jail for 23 days. And under the law it's supposed to be for questioning, so they can hold you for 23 days. And then what they often do, what the prosecutors often do, is if they change the charge, so if you're charged with some offence, and I mean charged, as you guys already know, charge is just accusing you of something. So you might be guilty, you might not be guilty, but they can hold you for 23 days. Now if they change the charge even a little bit, they can hold you for another 23 days. And that's quite often what they do, and they've done that with foreigners before, because they don't want to let you out in case you run away. So what they'll do is they'll arrest you, put you in jail for 23 days, and then on the 20th day they'll change the charge a little bit and change some description in the charge a bit, make it a bit different, and keep you for another 23. And then another 3 weeks later they can do it again and again and again, and they can do it as long as they want. And there's nothing you can do, nothing your consulate can do, nothing your embassy can do, nothing anybody can do. It's the Japanese law. So the other thing is that Japanese prosecutors have a 98% conviction rate, which means if you're charged with an offence in Japan, you have a 98% chance of a conviction. So quite often it's most of their convictions are through confession. So basically they lock people up for 23 days and ask them for a confession, and they say no, and they keep them for another 23 and another 23, and eventually they get a confession. And you know, and if you don't confess, then you're still in jail anyway. You're not going anywhere. So it's really severe, and there's nothing you can do about it. Again, there's nothing you can do. Nothing anybody can do. So with these sort of things, there's always people trying to find a loophole. There's no loophole. There's no loophole. They'll keep you as long as they want to, and there's nothing you can do about it. The next issue is that where you're being kept is a Japanese jail, and Japanese jails are hugely notorious for being clean, very clean places, but the discipline and the system in a Japanese jail is incredibly strict and is incredibly regimented, as you'd imagine You know, it's sort of a progression from Japanese society to put people in a jail. You can just imagine. For one thing, of course, criminals in Japan aren't considered to be, you know, people that have done something wrong. They're considered to be wrong people or bad people. So there's no respect for prisoners in Japanese jails, and the discipline is ridiculous. I've seen documentaries about it here in Japan. I'd like to show you. People ask all the time, I'd like to see inside a Japanese jail. There's no real way for us to get footage of that, but occasionally we'll see a story on Japanese TV about it, and it's really severe. It's really severe. You know, everybody has the buzz cut haircut, and everybody has the uniform, and everybody wakes up at the same time every day, and there's no lounging around like in a lot of countries. You know, you lounge around all day and play games with the other guys and chat and talk and eat your lunch and go to bed and do whatever you want to. There's none of that in Japanese jails. You get up in the morning, you go and do your exercises with everybody else, you go and do your work with everybody else, you go and do, you know, there's no lying around reading books, or, you know, it'd be a horrible place to be. It would be an absolutely horrible place to be. So, you know, and then after all this, if they let you go, finally after you've served your time, however many years that might be, they then deport you back to your own country, and you're never allowed back in Japan again. So it's just not worth it. You know, I mean, we've done videos before about the honesty of Japanese people and the low crime rates and things, and that's mostly because of the society and the way the people here think. But added to that, you have this. You have the justice system here is really harsh. So, you know, even people that might come here that might have criminal thinking, you know, would be crazy to commit a crime in Japan, no matter how small, because they will catch you and they will punish you severely, and you'll regret it. You'll really regret it, and then you'll never come back again. So guys, again, don't commit any crimes in Japan, and I'd extend this over to operating cars and motorbikes in Japan as well, because, you know, there's some penalties, road penalties or traffic penalties here that actually are counted as crimes. So if you travel at a certain speed over the speed limit, or you drive dangerously, or drunk driving here is really severe. There's like a $10,000 or 1 year in jail penalty for drunk driving. And of course, if you have an accident while you're drunk or something horrible like that, you'd be a long time in jail. So, you know, I'd extend the don't do crime in Japan over to how you operate your vehicle as well. Don't break the rules in Japan would be my advice. Don't break the rules and don't break the laws. Of course, if you want to, same with all our videos, if you want to ignore them and do your own thing, you can, but now you know the penalty, now you know the consequences, so it's your choice. If you choose to do something like that here, you will pay the price. So again, our advice is don't break the laws in Japan. Behave yourself in Japan. Just don't get into any conflict, don't get into any dramas. Just avoid any sort of drama, any sort of problems at all. Would be a very wise attitude to have, very wise approach to have. Don't get involved in anything, because you'll lose. You know, we've often get comments from people saying that they'll do this or they'll say that or they'll do this, or you just don't want to stand out here. You don't get any drama. If there's any drama, you want to walk away from it as quickly as possible and don't get involved. Because a lot of us come from countries where if someone causes you some grief and you hit them, or you get involved in some conflict with somebody, that the police will hear you out and go, oh yeah, well, I can see you had a good point, and there'll be no charges and that sort of thing. Not likely to happen here. There's a good chance if you get involved in any conflict here, or any dramas, or any sort of anything out of the ordinary at all, you'll be held responsible. And complaining about your rights, or complaining about fairness or justice or anything else, is not going to make any difference at all. In fact, that'll go worse. It'll make it worse. So yeah, just don't do it. Just don't do it. If you don't do it, a lot of these questions come up about this all the time. But if you don't break the rules, none of this will be an issue. You know, if you do break the rules and then there's consequences, it's too late. But if you don't break the rules, then it's not going to be a problem, is it? Please listen to this advice. Maybe the most important video we've ever made. More videos, coming soon.